All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about Travis Kelce and, him commenting on his future in the NFL. They had media day recently. So you're getting all the the pictures of guys in uniforms, and I think that's where he was making his comments. So this is what he had to say recently. He said, "I'm going to do it until the wheels fall off, and hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon, but I can definitely understand it's closer towards the end of the road than it is the beginning of it, and I just got to make sure I am set up for after football as well." And I think that's, you say anything else? At the same time, I'm a football player. More on that. I love playing in the NFL. This will always be my main focus. But outside of that, football ends for everybody, so kind of dipping your toes in the water and seeing what you like in different areas and different career fields. I think the offseason is the best chance you can get to try to explore all that and set yourself up for after football. And he said, "Wear and tear me, baby. I'm ready for it, man. Put the load on me. I love being accountable for the men and women in this building and Chiefs Kingdom. I love the aspect of everyone counting on me to try and make that play for the team and just do the right things on the field and better judgment for the team. I don't think that anything from last year put more miles on me, made me less of a player. I think it was, all in all, it was just focus, being my own worst critic and capitalizing in situations that I should have. I really can't put a time frame on it. I love coming to work every single day. Obviously, I know there's opportunities outside of football for me, and I think you've got to keep in perspective. I'm still a little kid when I come into the building." And then he also said, "I know I'm 34 years old, about to be 35, but I have a love to do this right here in the middle of the heat in June. I love coming to work every single day and doing this." So, yeah, sounds like a guy that's, not, calling it quits. Because, there was some speculation, there were some rumors that, maybe he was contemplating retirement. But that ended up not happening, and now he just seems like a guy that just wants to keep playing, and like you said, until the wheels fall off. And, there were some people that believed that the wheels were starting to fall off last year because Kelce was dealing with some injuries throughout the season. He did miss the opener against the Lions last year, and, some people just looked at him during the regular season and were saying, yeah, that doesn't look like the same Travis Kelce. He finished, under 1,000 yards. Now, only by 16. He had 984 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. Compared to 2022, he had over 1,300 yards receiving, 110 receptions, and 12 touchdowns. But, yeah, at some points during the year, people had their doubts on Kelce and saying that, maybe he's on, his career is on the downside of it. Well, that ended up not being the case because, he ended up having a monster postseason. He had the 2 touchdowns against the Bills, and he also had the touchdown against the Ravens to start off that game, the AFC Championship game. Had some big catches in the Super Bowl as well. Well, he also, nearly knocked Andy Reid over on the sidelines. Don't want to forget about that, but yeah, he had a monster postseason, and no, I just wanted to poke fun at him a little bit because that was funny. Because even Andy Reid said it, he caught him off guard. Yeah, it's he had, like I said, had a monster postseason, and dealt with injuries to start the year last year. So maybe, and you know what, I think because of the position that he plays and the attention that he gets, yeah, he's always gonna. I think he's always gonna be playing, through some sort of pain. That's what all football players have to deal with. But as you get older, yeah, it's harder to recover from certain things. But yeah, I expect Travis Kelce to go out there and have another good year. I think if the wheels really fall off, you're going to see him, not even get close to 1,000 yards. But yeah, I still think Kelce's got, a few good years left in him. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, and the Chiefs, they added some weapons. They added Marquise Brown. You drafted a receiver in Xavier Worthy. You want to at least, take some pressure off of Kelce, because last year the Chiefs receiving corps was not good. And despite that, they won another Super Bowl. That was probably the worst Chiefs offense that we've seen in the Patrick Mahomes era. And they still won the Super Bowl. Now, you could look at, they had the best defense in the Patrick Mahomes era, so that played a role. But, yeah, the receivers were not good last year. Now, they did come up big in the Super Bowl. Rashee Rice towards the end of the year and in the postseason, he played well. So I don't want to put him in that, with Valdez-Scantling and Kadarius Toney. But, Valdez-Scantling made some big catches in the playoffs against the Bills, the Icer against the Ravens on the third down, did catch, the touchdown in the Super Bowl when the 49ers muffed the punt. So Valdez-Scantling made some big plays when it mattered. Kadarius Toney was just a non-factor. Still on the Chiefs, and we'll see, what kind of role he has next season. But, yeah, the Chiefs, they're going to be better offensively this year. And if Travis Kelce's healthier to start the year, that's only gonna help them in the regular season. But I did want to kind of bring it back to Kelce, and he talked about how experimenting and kind of seeing what he could do post NFL. Look at his brother. His brother signed that deal with ESPN, so he's going to be on Monday Night Countdown. They have the podcast together, so you would imagine that's going to. That's probably still gonna continue, even with both of these guys retiring. It might be a little different because they're not when Travis Kelce retires, they're not going to be with their teams, so they're not going to have as much insight on what's going on in their buildings because they're not there. But that's down the line. They'll still be around the team, I'm sure, when they retire. They'll still be there, just that, not as often because they're not playing. But, yeah, you look at that. Travis Kelce also hosted Saturday Night Live as well. Travis Kelce is going to find something. Now, it's funny because I haven't mentioned one thing about Taylor Swift, because that's another thing, too. You got Taylor Swift, so you could be going on her tours constantly as well. Maybe being a background dancer. I don't know. No, when he retires, whenever he decides to, there's going to be opportunities for him. There's definitely going to be broadcasting opportunities because, ESPN could say, hey, we could have new heights, on Monday Night Countdown and just get both the Kelce brothers. Or he could go elsewhere. He could go to a competitor. He could go to CBS. He could go to Fox. We got to see, if these networks actually are going to want him, which they probably will, because, Travis Kelce is a star in this league. And, also who he's dating. So that might have, that's going to have some impact as well. But, for me, it'll be sad when he does eventually retire. Because, again, another great player that you see, you've watched for a long time, call it quits. I know some people are just sick of him, sick of the Kelce brothers, sick of all the Taylor Swift stuff. I get it. And are just sick of the Chiefs in general. I talked about this a little bit yesterday with someone in the comments. But, look, I get it. But it's another great player. He's one of the best tight ends that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Now, the greatest tight end of all time and the greatest tight end that I've ever seen is Gronk. That's not going to change. But Kelce's right up there, of course, with Gronk. I know I did a topic on that. I think I did that leading up to the Super Bowl, was, doing a comparison of the two. But for me, yeah, I think Gronk is the greatest tight end of all time. But different skill sets. Gronk is going to bulldoze over people. Kelce's more that, elusive tight end. you know. But they're both great. I know. I always see. You're always going to see it on social media with debating two players, but I think both of them are great. It's just, yeah, I give Gronk the slight edge in my opinion, but Kelce's right there with him. It's just, but yeah, I would rank Gronk slightly ahead. I don't think there's this big gap that, some people will say. There's not a big gap. It's probably a small gap. But that's my opinion. So yeah, Travis Kelce doesn't seem like he's looking to retire anytime soon. Again, I expect him to go out there and have a good year once again with the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think about what we discussed with Travis Kelce. So yeah, now we're gonna take our final break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about Joe Burrow. Him talking about his injury history, and yeah, that is how we will end off the show here. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.